Welcome back. Let's talk about motivation. So, welcome back to the show, The Uncomfortable Truth. Honestly, I wish I could just reach through this microphone and give you a hug right now because I am genuinely glad that you're here. Grateful you pressed play. I haven't felt this fired up in a long time, and I really believe this conversation matters for you and for me too. So, today I want to talk about something almost everyone who's ever gone after a goal has wrestled with. See if this sounds familiar. I know what I need to do. I just can't seem to get myself to do it. Why does staying consistent feel so hard some days? What's actually going on, and what can I do about it? If you've ever asked yourself that, I want you to know something first. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not lazy, you're not broken, and you're not the only one. What you're describing is one of the most human experiences there is. My goal today is simple to hand you a tool grounded in real science that you can use starting right now. Once you try it, I think you'll feel what I mean. So here's the truth about motivation. My take might surprise you. I understand the neuroscience behind it, but more than that, I understand the one small misunderstanding that trips almost all of us up. So here it is. The thing I want you to walk away remembering, motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something that shows up after you move. Now, I first heard this idea articulated by Mel Robbins, and it reframed everything for me. Most of us have been taught without ever being told directly that the feeling has to come first, that we need to feel ready before we act. It's actually the other way around. Action tends to generate the feeling, not the reverse. One quote that Bob Proctor usually says, do the thing and you'll get the energy to do the thing. You know what? It's true. And to be clear, motivation itself isn't the enemy. You need it. It's what gets you off the couch into that meeting, moving toward the life you want. The real skill, the one that nobody teaches us in school, is knowing how to act before the feeling arrives. That's not a character flaw you need to fix. It's a skill, and skills can be built. Think about times that you felt genuinely motivated before. Maybe you were surrounded by a team that energized you, or a deadline that made the stakes that feel real. Motivation shows up more easily with outside pressure, but in the quiet moments when it's just you and the thing you know you should do, that feeling often isn't there yet. That's not evidence that something's wrong with you. That's just how motivation works for everyone. Waiting for it to appear on its own before you start means you might be waiting for a long time. The good news, you don't have to wait. You get to be the one who moves. Now, I want to share something personal. Years ago, I went through a stretch where I couldn't find the energy to face what needed facing. I kept waiting to wake up one day feeling ready. And here's what I learned the hard way. No one else can hand you the readiness. No one else can hand you that readiness. Not because you don't deserve support. You do. And support matters enormously. But because the first step forward has to come from you. That's not a burden. It's actually the most empowering thing I know. You already have what it takes to move. The dreams you're holding, the changes you want to make, they're yours, and you get to be the author of that next chapter. The tool I'm about to share isn't about forcing yourself or overriding who you are. It's about giving yourself a way to close that gap between what you want and what you do on your own. I call this the 5 second window. Now let's get into the how. This is the part I really want you to sit with because it's simple, but simple doesn't mean small. Notice this. There's a small window of time, just a few seconds, between having an intention and either acting on it or talking yourself out of it. So to describe two general tendencies, a bias towards thinking, causing to deliberate, which could open the door to doubt, overwhelm, or even second guessing, and a bias toward action, moving forward even when the feeling hasn't caught up yet. Neither one of us makes you better or a worse person. They're just patterns, and patterns can shift. This tool is a simple countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you move. Counting backward interrupts the spiral of deliberation and gives your prefrontal cortex, a part of your brain responsible for intentional choice, a moment to step back in. It's sometimes called a starting ritual. in habit research, a small, repeatable cue that helps you launch into the behavior you actually want instead of the default pattern. Why not try it just once today? The next time you notice yourself hovering in that window, knowing what you want to do, but hesitating, count backwards and let the one be your cue to move. It won't rewire anything overnight, and that's okay. Real, lasting change is built through repetition, not a single try. Small, consistent choices come. Now, I want to share something someone shared with me. A story about a man who used his tool not just to get out of bed, but to stay grounded through real hardship. When he learned his grandmother's cancer had returned, it was the kind of news that, in the past, might have sent him towards choices that weren't serving him. Instead, he used the countdown as a moment to reconnect with his own values, to choose 5 seconds at a time the path that honored his sobriety and his commitment to his family. 3.5 years in, he's still choosing. That's not about willpower alone. That's about having a tool that meets you exactly in the moment you need it. So why does this work? Now, I've spent some time digging into the research behind this, and here's what I found. The countdown works because it's a form of metacognition, simply thinking about your own thinking and using that awareness to choose your next move deliberately. It doesn't erase the old pattern instantly, but it creates a pause where a new choice becomes possible. Over time, with repetition, new patterns take root. This works because your brain is wired to protect you, and part of that wiring resists change, even change you want. That resistance, this isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's just biology. Every single one of us has to generate what's sometimes called activation energy to shift from one state, resting, scrolling, staying still, to another, moving, starting, acting. The counting itself becomes the bridge, a small, doable action that pulls you into the bigger one. This is why so many people talk about affirmation and that they repeat it all throughout the day because it takes you out of where you are in that stop and it bridges that gap to where you're deliberately thinking about something else and changing your negative thought to a positive one. And that's why people are saying it's so powerful, these affirmations. Now, here's what I'd love to invite you into a 5 day morning practice, entirely optional and entirely yours to shape. Tonight, if you're open to it, set an alarm. Tomorrow, when it goes off, notice the moment of hesitation. That's completely normal, and it doesn't mean anything has gone wrong. When you notice it, try counting backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let 1 be your cue to sit up. You might not feel like it, and that's fine. You're not aiming for that. You're not aiming for the feeling. You're building the skill of moving alongside the feeling, not waiting for it to leave first. Do that for 5 mornings if it feels right for you. What you're building isn't just an earlier wake up. You're practicing trust in your own ability to follow through, which tends to ripple into every other part of life. And if you skip a day, that's not failure. That's just what practicing sometimes something new looks like. Come back to it tomorrow. Progress is rarely a straight line, and that's completely normal. You already have what it takes. So you don't need to wait for permission or for the perfect feeling or for someone else to hand you the plan. You already have the real strength, real resilience, and the capacity to choose your next step 5 seconds at a time. Change builds through small decisions that add up, not through a single dramatic overnight shift. I'd love to support you if you want to try this. You can find more about the challenge in my school community as well as on my Facebook page. Now, thank you for spending the time with me. Thank you for being someone who's willing to try something new. You've got everything you need inside you already. I just hope this gives you one more way to access it. If this is helpful, I'd love it if you follow the show and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. I'll see you in the next episode.